Hello dear learners, welcome to this video of complexometric titration part 2. In this video I will discuss about masking and demasking agents and metal ion indicators, or we can say PM indicators, in detail. Now first of all, why there is a need to study masking and demasking agent. Masking and demasking agents are used to determine more than one analyte present in the sample. For example, if there are 3 analytes that we have to determine, then we have to first mask other 2 analytes so it will not react with our titrant. After that, we have to find our first analyte. Then after finding first analyte, we have to demask the second analyte. So the second analyte only will able to free to react with our titrant. That's why there is a need to study masking and demasking agents. So we will see in detail what is it and how we can use it, what are the example and what are the methods. First of all, we will see the masking agents. So masking agents are reagents which prevent interfering ion from reaction without physical separation. These reagents form complexes with interfering ion which are more stable than complexes formed with indicator and EDTA. Now this masking agents will be worked by 2 methods, by precipitation and by complex. I said how it will react or how it will work as a complex. Now first of all, we will see the masking by precipitation. Means what? For example, the heavy metals like cobalt, copper, lead can be separated either in the form of insoluble sulfides using sodium sulfate or as insoluble complexes using thiocetamide. These are filtered. First we have to precipitate it out using sulfides. After that we have to filter it, decomposed and titrated with disodium EDTA. So what happened? Other common precipitated agents are sulfates for this PbBa oxalate, calcium, fluoride. So what happened? This is used to mask copper by precipitation in the assay of lotions containing copper and zinc. This is the example of a masking agent by precipitation method. Means we have to precipitate out our one analyte. After that, by filtering, we have to find the presence of the different analyte by titration. This is how we can masking by precipitation. Now we will see the masking by complex formation. This is of our interest. So how we can produce it? So masking agent from more stable complexes with the interfering metal ions. The most important aspect is that masking agent must not form complexes with the metal ion under analysis. Means what? Whatever masking agent we will add, it will not form complex. It will just mask our analyte. Okay. So it can produce or it can free the other analyte which will our interest to find. Now these are some example of masking agent. First is ammonium fluoride. So it will mask, when we will add ammonium fluoride, it will mask aluminium, iron, titanium by complex formation. Second, the ascorbic acid. When we can use ascorbic acid, so it reducing agent for iron, which is then masked by complexing as a very stable hexacyanoferrate complex, and it is more stable and colored than hexacyanoferrate. Now dimercaprol. So cations of mercury, cadmium, zinc, arsenic, tin, lead, bismuth react with a dimercaprol is a weakly acidic solution to form precipitates which are soluble in alkaline solution. It will mask by precipitation. Now we will see other example of complex. So if we will add potassium cyanide, it will react with this metals and form complexes in an alkaline solution which are more stable than corresponding added complex. So other ions such as lead, magnesium, manganese can be determined in their presence. Okay, so this kind of ions we can determine in presence of potassium cyanide. So we have to choose our masking agent as per the analyte in the sample. What we have to find, as per that we can choose our masking agent. Then when we can add potassium iodide, so it is used to mask the mercury. Okay, as for mercury, it can be used to assay of mercury chloride. So this is all about masking agent. Now once we have added masking agent, what we can do, we have find one analyte. Now after masking, other one or two analytes are already masked. So we have to demask that particular analyte. We have to remove mask. That's why we need a demasking agents. So what is demasking agents? So demasking, it is the process in which masked substance regains its ability to enter into a particular reaction. Okay, this enables to determine a series of metal ion in one solution containing many cations. For example, if we will take one example of using masking as well as demasking agent in a complexometry. For example, if we want to find three analytes, three metals like copper, cadmium and calcium. So what we can do, the first step, there is a direct titration of the mixture with EDTA. It will give sum of three metals. First of all, copper and cadmium may be masked. Okay, so what we can find? We can find calcium with the addition of cyanide to the solution, leaving only calcium ion. So we can see this step. First of all three metals are titrated like calcium, cadmium and copper with EDTA. So after reacting, what they will produce? Calcium EDTA complex, cadmium EDTA complex as well copper EDTA complex. In step 2, what we are doing? Only Ca is titrated because the calcium is only free. Other two, these two are masked. So Cu plus cyanide ion, what happened? It will produce Cu cyanide complex because we are adding cyanide over here as a masking agent. Then when we are adding cadmium cyanide ion, what happened? It will produce cadmium cyanide complex. But when we are adding this, what calcium will do? There will be no reaction, and in EDTA it will produce calcium EDTA complex, what we want. Now in step 3, what we have to do? In step 3, when formaldehyde or chloral hydrate is added to cyanide containing mixture, okay, so we have to add demasking agent like formaldehyde or chloral hydrate to demask the cadmium. So cadmium is demasked and EDTA titrate with sum of calcium and cadmium, right? So in this manner, the concentration of three ions is determined by three individual titrations in one flask only. Means here what we can do? Now in this cadmium cyanide complex, we have to add formaldehyde as a demasking agent. So our cadmium will be free. So when it will react with a Cu cyanide complex, there will be no reaction, so it will not be free. Only free is cadmium over here. So we can find cadmium as a second titrant, as a second analyte. So there will be a cadmium EDTA complex as well as Cu EDTA complex. So this is how we can use masking as well as demasking agents. Now we will see the method of demasking, the demasking methods. So there are the used methods like pH control method as well as use of selective metal indicators. So what is a pH control method? So the formation of a metal chelate is dependent on obviously pH of a reaction medium. So in weakly acidic solution, what happen? The chelate of most, or we can say many metal are completely dissociate, such as alkaline earth metal, whereas chelates of Bi and Fe+3 or chromium are readily formed as this pH, at this pH. So in acidic solution, Bi can be effectively titrated with a chelating agent and presence of alkaline earth metal. So this is the method. Means what we can do, we can control the pH, okay, to control the reaction. We can use it as a demasking method. Then second is a use of selective metal indicator. Means this indicator are a metal complexing agents which react with a different metal ions under various conditions. That we will see how many type of indicators are there, how many kind of metal ion indicators are there, in which condition, in which pH range they will react, and what color they will give. So we can select indicator as well to different analysis, means to identify different analytes. Several selective metal indicators have been used and they are specific for particular ion. So this is all about masking and demasking methods as well as agents. Now we will see metal ion indicator. So what is metal ion indicator? What is metal ion indicators? So the PM indicator is a dye. It's a dye which is capable of acting as a chelating agent. It will react, okay, whatever indicator we are selecting, it should be capable to react with a chelating agent to give a di-metal complex. It produces a di-metal complex, or we can say our metal and indicator complex. The latter is different in color from a dye itself. Also has a low stability constant, that a chelate metal complex. Next is whatever metal indicator we are selecting, so the color of solution, it remains that the dye complex until the end point. When equivalent amount of EDTA has been added, the color should be as it is. As soon as there is a slight excess of EDTA, this complex decomposes to produce a free dye and is accompanied by change in color. Okay, when we are adding EDTA, it will produce a color change. When we are adding excess EDTA, so we will get our color. Many of these indicators also have a typical properties of acid-base indicators, and the color change are the result of displacement of H plus by a metal ion. Now we will see metal indicator must comply with the following requirements. Metal ion should have some requirements to be used. So first requirement is compound must be chemically stable throughout the titration. It should be chemically stable, right? It should not react with other chemicals. It should form 1:1 complex, which must be weaker than a metal chelate complex. Whatever metal indicator complex will produce, it should be less, you can say it should be weaker than metal chelate complex. Okay, color of indicator and metal complex indicator must be sufficiently different. That's why only we can identify. Okay, when there is a metal and complexing agent, there will be one color. So there should be different color when we are adding indicator. Color reaction should be selective for the metal being titrated, and the indicator should not compete with EDTA. It's a most important requirement of metal ion indicators. Now we will see what is the mechanism of action of indicator, how it will act. So let the metal be denoted by M. Here M is our metal and I is the indicator, we can say, and chelate by EDTA. So this is our chelate, Mi is our indicator, the metal indicator complex, colored metal indicator complex, colored metal indicator complex. Now what happened? The reaction medium contains metal indicator complex, that is Mi, and excess of metal ion. So when EDTA titrant is added to a system, a competitive reaction takes place between free metal ions and EDTA. Since the metal indicator complex is weaker than metal EDTA chelate, the EDTA which is being added during the course of titration, okay, is chelating the free metal ions in a solution at a expense of Mi complex. So finally at the end point what happened, these two will react MEDTA. Okay, and this I will be of produce their original color of indicator. So at the end point, EDTA removes the last traces of metal from indicator, and indicator changes from its complex color to its metal free color, right? So the overall reaction is given by this. When we are adding indicator in a conical flask, there will be a reaction between metal and indicator and it will produce a color. Now this and the remaining metal and EDTA will react each other. So it will produce metal EDTA complex, which will be more stable than metal indicator complex. So ultimately this complex will be there, it will change the color and indicator will get the original color, so it will be finally removed after reaction. So this is how metal ion indicator will react. Now these are some examples of metal ion indicator. Name of indicator is a Mordaunt black 2, Erichrome black T, the Solochrome black T. The color change is a red to blue. This is the range of pH, and this is the example of which metals we can identify by using this indicator. Then we can use methylene blue also, thymol blue also. These are the final color change, and we will get this color change at this pH. So these are the example. So we can say it is very important. You should know which kind of analyte we can find by using which indicator and what will be the color change as an endpoint. Now we will see some structures of a metal ion indicator. So this is the structure of alizarin fluorine blue. This is the structure of chalcone. This is the structure of chalcone carboxylic acid. This all are the dyes, you can say indicator. This is a catechol violet. Okay, when it will react with a metal, it will produce a metal indicator complex. Like this reaction, the hydrogen will be removed. Okay, and it will react like this. Here also the reaction will occur. Now here the other complexes is there. The diphenyl carbazone is there. When it will react with a mercury metal, it will form the complex like this. This is our final structure. Now in a part 3 we will discuss the assay of a calcium gluconate IP by complexometric titration. Thank you dear learners for watching the video.